Hello, my fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. Today, I want to revisit a topic we looked at not too long ago, which is how to work with the solar flash event to shift your DNA, how to cooperate with the energy. This is a cooperation. This isn't something that we sit back and wait to happen. That is a very bad strategy. So we're going to talk about how we can integrate the solar ascension frequencies and how we make the decision to evolve to a new species of 5D human. Hello and welcome back to the channel. So let's see, was there something I wanted to play? Was this it? No. Was it this? No, I said that already. Is it this? No, anyway. I'm putting together little ads to promote the new direction that this channel is going. Anyway, I don't have that available at the moment. So we are going to talk today about how we can replace our 3D identity with our 5D identity. So let me just give you an assumption to start with. The identity that you have, who you think you are, is a construct. It is literally has nothing to do with you, the essence of who you are. It is a construct. It is a costume. It is makeup. It is purely external. I know that we feel it. We feel as though we are this. We feel it deep in our bones that this is who and what we are. But I'm here to tell you, every single feeling that you have about your identity, every single reaction that you have to your reality, to other people, to circumstances, these are all programmed responses that have ultimately happened because you chose, sometimes as an infant, you chose to respond in a certain way. And let me go back a little further to something else we talked about, which is, how quantum particles react. This is true with literally all physical matter in the universe, but it's also true with anything that has to do with the third dimension, which includes your personality. You have to look at it the same way. And the best way to describe it, you've heard me say it a billion times, but it's really valuable to meditate on it, which is the very famous experiments about whether or not light is a particle or a wave. And so what is a photon? Is a photon a wave, or is it a physical particle? And whenever you set up the experiments to determine what the nature of light is, the light always responds based on your expectation when you observe it. So it doesn't matter if you observe it while it's happening or if you look away and then observe it. Light knows whether you're going to look at it or not. It knows. And it is a quantum particle, meaning that it is nothing and everything. So when I say quantum, that's what I mean. It means it's in a state of pure potential. It is literally everything and nothing, and both at the same time. And so it responds when you look at it with an expectation. It goes, oh, I'm supposed to be that, and it becomes that, and it responds to that. So much so that the latest experiments, these experiments have been done for decades, the latest experiment proved that the light particle, just as it's getting ready to hit the film where you find out how it's acting, just before it does that, it looks to see what is being expected of it. It then goes back in time, and that's a quote. Sometimes I give nice, flowery metaphoric interpretations, but that's a quote, that it goes back in time and it changes the history so that and that is a complete, total fabrication. There are no facts about it. It is evidence that's manufactured and replicated for your expectation. And then it shows up the way you expected it was going to show up. If you look to see if it's the opposite, it does the opposite. But the point I'm trying to make is before it responds, it's nothing. It doesn't have an opinion about itself. It doesn't have an opinion or a feeling or a desire. It is just pure potential. This is who you are. This is the essence of you. You don't know that. You have all of these emotions. You have all of these feelings. You have this past. You have these memories. And if I tell you, if you're not, especially if you're not looking to shift, if you're not looking to change, and you come to me with a problem about life and how you respond, and if I say to you, your experience is something you've chosen. You've chosen to have that experience. Most people are going to get very upset because that's not how they saw it. That's not how they experienced it. That they're already this certain thing and something happened to them. Usually people only complain about the things they don't like. If something good happens, people don't complain about it. Something happens you don't like, people complain about it. And they look for a cause. So they look for something outside of themselves. See, I did it because of that. And if you look at the objective evidence, the history of the event will in fact co-sign your expectation. There are people who are victimized. People are victimized in this world. And we can't deny the actual physical timeline evidence. They were born, they didn't choose any of this, as far as we know, in their physical, and these things happened to them, and, victim. That's the end result of the investigation in the physical reality of the person and the event and the circumstances. I'm here to tell you that you are a quantum being, meaning that at your core, you aren't any of the things you say you are. Those are simply responses. So again, light responds to when it is looked at, when it is observed. And in other words, if people were to look at light and they had no expectation of how light was to respond, light wouldn't. It wouldn't show up as anything. But because you have an expectation of what light should be, it responds to the expectation. When you're an infant and you're born into this world, you are a quantum soul that has chosen to forget all of its experience in the multiverse, its infinite power. It says, I don't want to remember that. I want to be a blank slate so that I can have an honest experience here. I can honestly learn about the constraints of consciousness in the third dimension. And when you are looked at by your parents or by your siblings or by your world, that quantum part of you becomes something in response to what the expectations are. Then you become that thing, and then you act and react based on that. And my point of all that is, in order for us to shift, we must now take responsibility to go back to our quantum state and make the decision that we will become what we choose to become. We will become what we expect. So instead of waiting for something to look at us that turns us into something, listen, every single person on here, if you feel like you're, and listen, I'm a human being. I've got some, if not all, of these things. So if this applies to you, it very well might apply to me as well. So if you are somebody listening to me and you are victimized, you are poor, you are miserable, you are unsuccessful, you are physically unwell, nobody loves you, nobody appreciates you, nobody values you, or people are afraid of you, or people don't like you, or whatever, because again, we only focus on the things we don't like. All of those things, even if you can prove to me in the physical reality that those things are true, they are all your decision, because you're responding to the expectations that are being put upon you, which means projection. A little infant doesn't have an opinion about him or herself. But let's say the father picks up the child and the father thinks he's a loser, he doesn't make enough money, he's poor, and those damn rich people, they get everything, and those whoever they are, they did this to me. And he looks at his infant, and in his conscious mind, he's like, oh, I love my little baby boy or girl, but he's projecting that. And the infant, the quantum infant, looks at that. And if his projection is this child's not going to make it, how sad it is for this child to live in this world, that child goes, okay, I'm a victim. That's who he's going to be. That's how he's going to respond to his life. So the solar flash event is trying to shift us back into a quantum state, but we must choose to cooperate with it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I got a fire under my belly. Maybe you've already heard a little bit why. So before we go any further, this is what I wanted to put up here. Let me put it up so it doesn't get covered up by anything. Question your reality. Online classes and personal mentorship at thunderwizard.com. So all of the practices on the channel, the free practices, they're going to be moved. I'm going to move all of the energy practices. The things that I won't move will be the 12 steps to 5D and the interdimensional meditation. Those will stay. Of course, there's so many free practices, I can't move everything all at once, but everything that takes effort and commitment to accomplish, those are all going to be moved over to thunderwizard.com. So before I go any further, I'm going to have to change this around. Did I take this out of here? Where's new to the channel? So if you're new to the channel, what I need you to do is subscribe, like, and comment. You're going to go to the free playlist page. Right now, while you can, click on the Maoshan Qigong. All of that's going to move over to thunderwizard.com. The interdimensional meditation will still be there in the 12 steps to 5D. These are the practices that will shift you. 12 steps to 5D is probably the most important about what I'm talking about right now. Because 12 steps to 5D actually allows you to reformat your hard drive. So you can be doing meditation and energy work your whole life, and it will take you a lifetime before you start to change your hard drive. 12 steps to 5D will change your hard drive. So I'm going to leave that on there because I think it's incredibly important. Where are we? Stop doing that. And then I need you to subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. That's where all of the Qigong practices are going to go. It's going to take me a while to do it, but that's where they're all going to go. And in fact, I just uploaded a new practice, which I'm extremely excited about sharing with you. I'll upload the introduction to the channel when I get some time. But let's see, where is it? This. And the Advanced Huar Mantra Technique for Pineal Activation. And I'm going to give you specific techniques to supercharge the pineal transceiver to shift to 5D and to create your 5D world. The entire practice will only be found at the thunderwizard.com shop. So let me tell you what that is. While I'm doing business, we can get this out of the way. Where is it? Is that it? There it is. So if you look at this, this is the thunderwizard. I'm sorry. This is the thunderwizard.com website, the Patreon site. And you can see here the menu, home, collections, shop, collections. If you need to find out where the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong stuff, click on collections and you'll see it all there. The shop is where you can get practices that you can download and stream. And you see I've got Celestial Qigong, I've got that up there. And I've got the Advanced Huar Mantra Technique for Pineal Activation. I've already uploaded the Summoning the Immortals, so that will soon be coming down off of the free site. But anyway, you can get that Advanced Huar Mantra Technique for Pineal Activation. But to get to it, you click on the shop, where it says shop, when you go to thunderwizard.com. That was my point. So the shop is something I'm really excited about. We're going to put all kinds of stuff in. You know, another reason why this will be helpful is that there are so many free practices. People don't even take advantage of them because, you know, you'd have to scroll back 5-10 years to even get to some of these things. So I'm going to have all of the practices available in one place where you can just see all of the practices and the meditations and the, you know, the teachings and the certifications. All of that's going to be in one place, including the Maoshan practices. So you see here this link, 923.thunderwizard.com. I put that up here today because that's coming down. It's not going to come down today or tomorrow because it's going to take me time to download everything and upload it. And so if you have been thinking about taking advantage of that, now's the time, because as soon as I'm physically capable of it, that will no longer be available. And in case people have been waiting around wanting to do it, now's the time. Same here with courses.thunderwizard.com. If there's anything that you've been thinking about wanting to get while it's still freaking dirt cheap and a bunch of things packed together, thousands of dollars worth of things into one package, go there now, because pretty soon that's all going to be gone. But the good news is that you'll have access to more stuff you didn't even know we had, and then I'll be able, you know, professionally be able to get people their stuff without me having to, you know, spend hours emailing people things. Anyway, so there's that. All right, so back to what we were talking about today, which is working with the Solar Flash event to decide to evolve to a new species of 5D human being. And I do happen to have a list. So we've talked about this before, but I think we should go through it again. Replacing your 3D identity with your 5D identity. So you're watching me do that right now. My 3D identity in giving away all this free stuff. You know, whenever I'd come on here on the channel before and I'd say, please just do the practices, even if you can't pay, please. And here's all the free stuff. Part of the thought process is, listen, if people can just feel it. This is why I put the Summoning the Immortals. It was very, very powerful practice. I put it up on the channel. My thought process was, if people felt it, then they're going to want to go and subscribe to the 90-day challenge and do the real stuff. Until I found out that people weren't doing that. People they loved the free stuff so much, they're like, should I pay for that other stuff? This stuff is great. I'll pay that other guy for his stuff. I can't get his stuff for free, but Mahadeva is giving everything away for free, and it's the best. I'm just going to do that. Until I realized that mindset was there. My 3D mindset was that, no, I have to give everything away. I can't be, you know, what people accuse me of, which is I'm a grifter, I'm a con man, I'm here to make money off of you. So no, I'm going to prove to you that I'm not doing that. I'll give away 90% of the stuff for free. I'll constantly bring the prices down. But the truth is, when it came to the Maoshan 5-element moving practices, more people bought it when it was $3,000 than they do now. You know, and it's been dirt cheap for a long time, and nobody buys it. But when I first introduced it at $3,000, boom, you know, I was rolling in money for a couple of years. So that's my 3D identity, and I'm shifting. I'm getting rid of that. I have to be willing to follow my own teaching and take the risk. Jump off the cliff, be true to myself, and to value what is being channeled through me. So this is something we have to do. We have to make the decision to replace our 3D identity with our 5D identity, because in 5D there are no victims. In 5D there are no Mother Teresas who, in 5D, nobody is carrying their cross. In 5D, everybody is royalty. Everybody is a self-empowered king or queen of their reality. Everybody has the power to manifest and to shift their response and their expectation of their reality to manifest everything that they want. And everybody values everybody else. Nobody is completely self-absorbed and self-seeking. Because true selfishness, when you go after your joy and you live your truth, your true joy, you love everybody. You want everybody to be happy. And you live in such a way where you do not impede anybody else's autonomy, anybody else's freedom. You don't control anybody. And we, even in love relationships in the third dimension, it's still transactional. But in 5D, there will be no transactional relationships because there will be no need. There will be zero need for you to transact. And we can experience that now. We can be in a state of complete self-empowerment now where we don't need anything from anybody else, but we're not hiding from anything from anybody else. We can have that now. So the real question is, what brings the solar flash? Is it the energy from the center of the galaxy that's released through the sun that hits us and changes us? Or is it that we change and then the energy of the multiverse has to shift in order to meet our expectation of what we expect this physical reality to represent? Which came first? Remember, what happens with light? What happens with light is that it is neither a wave nor a particle, and it's neither of those things as it's getting to that, the paper that's going to react to it. And just as it gets there, it goes, what am I supposed to be? A particle. And go back in time, I've been a particle this whole time, blam. So then you look at and you say, the history says this has always been a particle. It says so right there. So your experience might be that this energy comes from the galactic center and is shot through a wormhole through the sun. The sun sends this energy and boom, we all shift up to 5D. Is that really what happens? Or is that doing the same? It's all quantum energy. Is it that you change your expectation, and then the multiverse has to go back in time and make it as though it happened to you? We could debate that. But no matter how you look at it, you benefit if you take responsibility. If you benefit and you take full responsibility for your own enlightenment, your achievement, and getting whatever the hell you want out of life. When you take full responsibility, even if this solar flash thing doesn't happen, you will benefit. And if there is going to be a change in this world, it's going to be a change of consciousness. And that's something that we must take responsibility for. So, make a list of all your perceived limitations. I'm short, weak, judgmental, whatever it is. Make a list of all of the things you don't like about yourself. Because again, that's your quantum expectation. You somehow got the expectation that in this world, if these happen to be your thing, you're short, weak, and judgmental, you somehow got the message somewhere that you were supposed to be tall, strong, and have zero judgment. And so you go, oh, I'm none of those things. I'm these bad things. So write them all down, because again, they're all made up. It's a made up response. It doesn't exist. You think it's who you are, but it really doesn't. It doesn't exist. Make a list of all the things you are not. God, omnipotent, patient, kind, sexy, beautiful, whatever it is that you don't think you are. Write all that down. Because again, those are just responses. They're responses to an expectation. If you have that something in this reality looked at you and said, you need to be this, you need to look this way, you need to be this way, and you said, oh, that's not how I've designed myself. I'm not those things. Oh my God, that's so horrible. I feel so bad. I feel so lonely. I feel so unloved. So write down all the things that you're not. Look at your limitations and ask, what do I gain from this? What do I gain from this? I've shared this, I'll use it again because it's a great example. I didn't make that technique up. I heard it and I saw it, and I've been living with it off and on, and it's just a fabulous technique. So whenever you're upset about anything, stop and go, what do I gain from this? Your first response is going to be, I don't gain anything from it. It's miserable. I can't stand it. But somebody was, I don't remember, I was watching a video. Anyway, somebody was sick or was remembering when they were sick. And then somebody asked them, what do you gain from being sick? And the person said, first you have to assume, okay, there's something I think I'm gaining from this. I don't feel that now, but I'm just going to assume that that's what's happening. So when somebody asked him, what do you gain from this? He thought about it and he said, oh, I get attention. I get people's attention, which he's conflating as love. So he's feeling unloved or something. He wants attention. So what happens? He gets sick. So ask yourself that question. What do you gain from whatever your limitations are? Number 4, look at all the things you're not and ask, what do I gain from what do I gain from believing this? I put in there, not being God. It's interesting. I mean, I'm uploading videos to my Facebook page. If you want to go, please go there and follow it. The Path of the Thunder Wizard. And I'm uploading a lot of shorts, the same ones I'm uploading to YouTube, but YouTube is not getting nearly the views I'm getting on Facebook. But there's a bunch of them that talk about you being God. And, and I don't say I'm God. Of course, that's the assumption. I'm like you. I'm like everybody else. But I don't say I'm God. I say you're God. And in one video, I say, if you are able to look God in the face, God will then have to worship you because he will be in the presence of his God. Right? Those are all you. I'm talking about you the whole time. Somebody commented, and if I had it in front of me, I would read it, but a guy commented and he said, you're delusional. How can you say that about yourself? Don't you take a crap every day? If God sees that, it's going to be disgusting to him. You disgust God. The interesting thing is that that's him talking about himself. He thinks that God is disgusted with him. So you got to ask the question, what does he gain from believing that God is disgusted with him? What does he gain from that? So you got to ask yourself the same question. All the judgments you have, what do you gain from having those judgments about yourself? Okay, so, if you have that judgment about yourself, I'm just going to guess, like, what would that guy benefit from? If he believes that he disgusts God. What does he gain from that? How does he benefit from that? If I were to try and guess how he benefits from that. So in his world, he's probably a born-again Christian. In his world, he's going to have, he's going to have the reputation of being righteous and humble. So his ego is going to be empowered in a negative way. It's a covert narcissistic ego of saying, look at how spiritual I am because I feel disgusting to God. And I'm proud to say that. I'm so spiritual, I'll shove it in your face and tell you that that's how you feel about yourself. So you have to take a look at that. What do you gain from anything negative you say about yourself? Anything you believe about yourself? Because you wouldn't respond that way if you didn't think there was something in it for you, even if it's, sick and twisted and backwards. All right, so you look at your limitations and ask, what do I gain from this? Number 4, look at all the things you're not and ask, what do I gain from, oh yeah, that's what I just said. What do I gain from believing this? Number 5, look at all the negatives in your life and ask, what do I gain from being this? We talked about that, the guy who was sick. What do you gain from being sick? And he says, I gain attention. It was an awakening. He didn't realize that's what he was doing. His whole life, every time he made himself sick, got a cold or the flu or something, and somebody said, what do you gain from that? He realized he believes he gets attention from that. And, if you have a codependent, overprotective mother who, this is an example from a relationship I was in. One of my first really hardcore long-term girlfriends back when I was in my 20s. And I had been working my ass off in my theater company. I was acting in main stage productions. I was teaching classes. I was on the board of directors. I was writing. And I was working 2 jobs and going on auditions. I was working my ass off. And I had a lot of rage and anger because, success was not coming fast enough for me. And so I was very angry about that. I ended up giving myself kidney stones, like not little ones, like the one like the size of a basketball. And I ended up having to go and get surgery to get it, clear it up. And while that was happening, I was like passing out from the pain. If you've ever had a kidney stone, it's literally the most painful thing your body can go through. And I was passing out from the pain. And I wasn't able to take care of myself at the time, so I had my girlfriend, and I needed her to take me to the hospital. And at one point, I passed out, and I woke up, and she was lying down next to me, and she was asleep. And I knew that I was in real trouble. And I woke her up, and I said, "You got to take me to the hospital. You got to take me to the emergency room." And so we got to the emergency room, and the doctor says, "Wow, it's a good thing you got here when you did, because you could have died from poisoning." And and then she sort of made light of it. Yeah, he's been in a lot of pain. It's I guess it's like the pain of giving birth, and the doctor says, "Oh no, it's a hell of a lot more painful than that." And we got back, and I remember, after I got back out of surgery and out of the hospital, and I said, "Man, what was going on with you? I needed you, and you weren't there for me." And she broke down and was all upset. But years later, after we had broken up, I met her, and she had a daughter. And her daughter was playing with dolls, and she wanted me to play dolls with her. And in one of the scenarios, she put the male doll, the Ken doll, in bed. And then, our Barbie was taking care of her. And I said, "Oh, but now he gets better." And he's up and he's walking around. And she goes, No, he's still sick. He has to stay there. And I tried 2 or 3 times to get the Ken doll out of bed. And then she started crying. And she went to her mom and she said, "He's being mean to me." because I wasn't co-signing in pretending. I wasn't co-signing that that man had to stay, had to stay a prisoner. Because in her mindset, she had been taught by her mom, that's how you keep a man. You keep him sick. That's why you have overprotective mothers that they have sickly sons in many cases. It's because the son gets the feeling, oh, as long as I don't go out and accomplish, as long as I don't go out and live my life, mom will be happy. Mom will love me. So they allow themselves that. Now, again, this is general. I'm not talking about anybody in particular listening to me. Everybody's different. But, that's one way I could look at that. I could look at that, and it dawned on me. That's why I wasn't accomplishing a lot of things in my life. Even though I was out there working my tail off, I wasn't accomplishing anything. Because I was still unconsciously, I wanted that approval from my overprotective, codependent mom. So what do I gain from being this? So look at both of your lists and imagine the direct opposite. Going back up to first list. Imagine you're tall, strong, and full of acceptance. Number 2, go and you say you're not God. Well, decide that you are God, you are omnipotent, and you are patient. And then you got to ask the question, what do I gain from that? That's a whole, now you're in 5D. And I have to tell you, this is exactly what's happening with me when it comes to interacting with higher dimensional beings. As I said, I have not yet publicly told anybody what they told me I am. And, when I work through that, if and when, because it's either going to happen, if I understand it literally, it's going to happen and everybody's going to find out if it turns out to be true. But I don't want to distract people with that because I want you to focus on yourself. But this is what happens when you do the interdimensional meditations. These beings come to you and literally tell you things like you're God. I didn't make that up. They told me that. They tell you you're omnipotent, you're multidimensional. And one of the really trippy things is when you meet other versions of yourself in different dimensions. That's a very trippy scenario. I made a video, one of the shorts, where, I talk about this vaguely, and I put a picture of this giant, dragon. In one encounter, the light being said, "Here, let me show you who you are." It's this enormous dragon in the middle of the universe. That's you. That's me. Yeah, that's you. Then, of course, you get to go and become that. This is 5D mindset. So you can't be a victim and be God. Unless you're a Christian, of course, or unless you're Jehovah. Jehovah's quite a victim. But you can't be everywhere and everything and be limited in your reality. You can't be both things at the same time. This is 5D. So if you're listening to me and these things don't apply to you, I want you to sit with your feelings for a moment. If I'm talking to you about this, what is your response? Are you angry? Do you feel guilty? Do you feel shameful? Are you mad at me? Are you like that guy on Facebook when I said, in the video, you're God? When you can look God in the face, God will worship you. And his response is to tell me that I'm disgusting to God. Do you have one of those reactions coming out of you? Which, of course, is projection. That's how he feels about himself, obviously. If you do, welcome to the club. I'm as human as you are. This is the third dimension. The third dimension keeps you in the third dimension with one very powerful tool, and that powerful tool is devaluation. Looking at how little you are. People say this and they mean it in a nice way, and I understand what they're talking about. They're talking about not being a narcissist, but they don't realize the devaluing thing of it. And somebody says, one of the wisest things you can ever do is realize you're not God. What they mean by that is that you can't go around controlling everybody. Because people who control are not God. And here's the thing about, if you want to know the truth about God, God doesn't control anybody. Jehovah controls everybody. Jehovah has all these commandments and Jehovah judges you. The actual God at the center of this universe has no control, takes no decision on anything that you do. You are completely, totally free to do and be anything and everything you want. You want to be a tiny screwed up human? You can do that. You want to be a narcissistic, miserable tyrant? You can do that. God doesn't care. He doesn't care one way or another. He'll go, wow, tell me what that was all about. What was that like? That's how God is. So there's no guilt except what you throw on yourself. Now the controlling narcissist tyrant is actually acting out of self-hatred and self-devaluation, so they end up making themselves more miserable. You don't believe me? How much money does how much money does Jeff Bezos need? How much money does he need? If money was going to make him happy, he would have been happy billions of dollars ago. So that's not the answer to happiness anyway. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Look at both of your lists and imagine the direct opposite. Write down the description of your direct opposite identity. So if I just look at what I put in here, the direct opposite of the one I put is I'm tall, I'm strong, I am full of kindness, I am God, I'm omnipotent, and I'm patient. So that would be my 5D identity, even if I didn't see it, even if I didn't feel it. I would look at that, and I'll give you, the light beings do this. There was a day when I was feeling very judgmental, and it was really bothering me. I was very impatient, and I know you're all very surprised. I was feeling very impatient and very judgmental, and I really didn't like the way that I didn't want to be that. It was really bothering me. And I was doing the work, the self-examination to try and work past it, asking the questions, why am I this way? Why do I respond this way? Where did this come from in my life? And it wasn't, it was somewhere around that time, a light being came to me and said, do you realize that you're the kindest, most gentle person in the universe? I'm going to get emotional because I was like, I'm not. I can tell you I'm not. And the being said, yeah, you are. You are. Just be it. And that's how the universe works. That's how 5D works. We're in the third dimension. So, until we get out of this third dimension, it's going to be a challenge to go up against the frequency of the 3D, which is devaluation and shame. That's what keeps you here. That's why the world is run by money. Money is meant to devalue and shame you. It's one of the reasons why I have struggled with charging people for things. Because I know that about this whole concept. But this is the third dimension right now. So anyway, let's keep going. So what does this description sound? What of this description sounds like fun? This is the most important part. Well, I'm going to look at mine, not necessarily all of mine, but the examples I put up here. I like the idea of being strong, so that goes against that first one there. I like the idea of being omnipotent, patient God. That sounds like fun. I'll tell you, a lot of times the light beings will come to me and they will say, the universe is completely yours. You decide what's going to happen. In fact, they've asked me, what do you think should happen with the solar flash? How would you do it if you had complete control? And we're giving it to you. You want to decide how the solar flash and ascension process is going to work. You tell us how it works. And my first instinct is I start thinking about all of the, wow, I get to be anything? All right, I'm going to go and I'm going to appear in the sky, and then I'm going to show up in Davos, and I'm going to stand in front of, well, my cape is flapping, I'm going to stand in front of Klaus Schwab and all of the WEF, and I'm going to, with my laser eyeballs, I'm going to reduce them to, crying babies, or, something like that. That fantasy goes through me, and I realize that's not going to change anybody. Because Klaus Schwab has a soul. I know you don't think he does, but he's got a soul in there. He's got a soul as beautiful as any soul in the universe. Remember, he was a quantum being that chose to respond in a certain way to how he was looked at. So he's trapped in his costume of who he was, how he was looked at and how he responded to that. But underneath that is as beautiful, as powerful a soul, and he has the ability, if he chose to look God in the face, and God would worship him. Not in his current state, of course. So I realized that even for using Klaus Schwab as an example, if he doesn't evolve from his own autonomous choice, none of us evolve. You understand that? You can't evolve if everybody else, you can't evolve by your own free will if everybody isn't given that opportunity. And then I realized that the kindest thing we're using, I don't know Klaus Schwab, but the kindest thing for him, if he were to, to have an awakening event, he needs to be taken out of circulation because he's causing a lot of people a lot of harm. But I can't force him to awaken because that has to be his decision. He has all the power that I have. He has all of the awakening I have. So the kindest thing would be to isolate him and people like him in another dimension, in another frequency where they couldn't harm anybody else, but they could play out whatever crazy, weird, science fiction dystopian thing they want to, until they realize they need to wake up, and then he'll choose to evolve. So I became aware that that is how I would do it. That my first goal is to give every single soul in this third dimensional plane the autonomy to come to self-awareness when they choose, how they choose. So how would I protect those who are ready to move on? I would take those people and I would put them in a lower frequency, like in a, put them, in their own little computer bank, and put it, and isolate it from the rest of the computer so that it doesn't infect anybody else. I would, isolate them. They can play out their own thing for however many millions of years they need to do that until they're ready to awaken. And then for those that aren't ready to go and float on clouds up in 5D and they still need to be 3D, if it was up to me, I would shift them up just above this one so that they could still live in the third dimension, but they wouldn't have to deal with the dark force humans that are doing what they're doing. And then I would have a highest dimension for, highest frequency for 3D. And in that, I would allow people in the highest to look down at the ones below them and send energy, appear like angels if it needed be, and do all of that. And then when I went through all of that and I said, if you're asking me how I would do it, that's how I would do it, was I really think about it. And then I realized, that's the way it's always been presented. That's what they've been saying it's going to be this whole time. So then, the question is, did I create that? And did it go back in time and other people had that idea because I just came up with that? Or am I just coming up with it because you came up with that? But it doesn't matter. So that's how I see it. That's how I want it to be. And I do want there to be an event that is seen by everybody. And in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, for those of you again who believe that there are false beings of light, let me share with you what the Tibetan Book of the Dead says. The Tibetan Buddhists. They believe that at the moment of death, the moment that your soul leaves the body, there's a light appears. And there's a split second where you have the opportunity to fearlessly go into the light. You'll stop reincarnating. You will escape the matrix. You will become fully enlightened. You will achieve moksha. But if you hesitate from fear, you get pulled down into some kind of manifestation. So that's how I would do it. I would have an event that everybody saw and everybody felt, and everybody would at least have a moment, no matter who they were, no matter how far down the scale they were, no matter how evil or bad they were, they would have a moment where they could decide, I'm going to move up. I'm going to leave this behind. I'm going to shift up. Or they could decide that they're not ready for that, and out of their fear, they will be pulled down to whichever one of those levels that they are most comfortable staying in, choosing to stay in. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but if it were up to me, that's how I would do it. So no matter how I look at it, again, I'm just spitballing stuff, no matter how I would look at it, it's still up to me to create my own identity. So number 10, go into interdimensional meditation and create your new self in the quantum field. I do this. I still haven't told you who they told me I am. But when I go into interdimensional meditation, I become that. And I do the things that being does. And I follow the energy. If I'm operating from ego, the energy will start to dissipate. If I operate from my joy, which actually is selflessness, if I operate on that which gives me joy, like what I just described to you sounds, when I listen to it, it sounds pretty selfless. You know, the light beings say, you're God, you can do whatever you want. What do you want to do? And instead of flying down there like Superman and shooting lasers at my eyes and self-righteously killing the bad ones and standing there with a crown on my head, instead of that, I decided, no, I want everybody to have the freedom to decide who they want to be, when they want to be, and to awaken when they choose. And they need to learn whatever lessons. If they need to live in a dystopian hell for, another millennium, if that's what it takes for them, for it's bad enough that they finally reach out, then that's what I want. And I want that for everybody. I want for everybody what I want for myself. And that gives me the greatest joy. That gives me the greatest happiness, the greatest peace, the greatest freedom. Then when I step back in a third dimensional way, I go, oh, that's pretty selfless. And the point is that joy brings selflessness. The whole thing we're supposedly going after with the love and light, posturing and the virtue signaling that everybody does, what everybody really wants is to be and look like this selfless, righteous person. Like that guy who told me that God was disgusted with me. He's virtue signaling in his way. Look how righteous I am because I'm judging you right now. Because that's what God does to me. So I'm like God right now. I'm judging you. Look at how spiritual I am. Like in Middle Ages times when they would lash themselves. Look at how spiritual I am. Put scars on my back. But there's no joy in that. There's no joy in any of that. When you're in joy, when you are in bliss, you are God. Because that's all God is. If you want to get to the core essence, if you want to strip to what is God, God is bliss and joy and nothing else. So seek after that. That's what my book, the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, which you can get at michaelwilliamdenny.com or Amazon Kindle or Audible. Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life is something I figured out a few years ago about, what I need to do is just go after what makes me happy and forget everything else. And I did that not knowing it would work. And my thought process was, if I can't live the life that I want, then I don't want to be here. If that kills me, it kills me. But I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to do anything less. And sure enough, it worked. And then when the light being showed up, and they told me, this is who you are. And they said, you want to know why we chose you? It's because what you wrote in that book, you figured it out. That's what we do. That's 5D. You have to own that. You have to choose it. And we might have to be able to walk through this to find out what it is we think we're gaining from all of the shame and the self-directed negativity. And when we realize we don't gain from anything, and I've been saying this for years, but people treat themselves horribly in the mistaken unconscious, they're not aware of this, the mistaken unconscious attempt at getting their mom and their dad's approval, whether that be God in their mind, or whether that be the narrative, whether that be Joe Biden or Trump or Jesus or Buddha or whoever they're trying to get approval from. It's really about trying to go back to that moment when we were just a quantum soul that hadn't become anything. We want to go back to that and do it right this time. Because when we were doing that, trying to get it from limited humans who were looking us in the eye, or in the case of an orphan, not being looked at all, which is even worse, we didn't get what we wanted. What we wanted was that joy of full vision and acceptance that comes from the joy of essence, which if you want to call God, you can. And now we realize at the end of our lives, at the end of the third dimension, we look back and we go, all of that, none of that gives me joy. Not money, ask Michael Jackson. Not fame, ask Michael Jackson. Not being a beautiful sex symbol, ask all of the aging starlets or, the aging sex symbol musicians. I'm not naming them. That used to be super hot, and everybody, all the teenage guys had posters of them in their bedroom, and now they're 60 years old and they're destroying their face because they're trying to get back to that, which of course will never happen. And so all of those years, those decades when they were the sexiest women on earth, that the memory of that does nothing for them now. Means it didn't do it for him then either. There's only one thing, and that is to find the joy within. And that is my perfect 5D world. In my perfect 5D world, people know that. Maybe they haven't achieved it 100%. The fun is in going after it, but they know that's how it works. They know that how this thing works is I go after my joy. And children are born with parents that look at them knowing that these are liminal beings in a state of quantum non-differentiation, and they only look for the joy inside of them, the perfection in them, so that they can live that out. And little children are taught your most important thing in this life is to do the thing that gives you the greatest happiness, and I'm here to help you do that. That's the 5D I'm creating. And I can't do that if I have any of that negativity in me. So I'm doing everything in my power. Everything in my power to shift. And I'm doing everything in my power to help as many people as I possibly can do the same thing. So, all right. So, gone through the list. We can leave it at that. So yeah, there's some exciting changes coming to the channel. So I encourage you to go to thunderwizard.com and go to the shop and start looking for that. You're going to see more and more stuff. Again, if you've been on the channel for a while, there are practices that are on the free channel that you don't even know exist. I created whole free shaman certification programs people don't even know exist because they're 10 years old. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm going to put them in the shop so you can go and find all the practices that you want. And I do recommend that if what I'm teaching you, what you hear from me, if it strikes a chord in you, I do recommend that you go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe. And I do recommend, if you're listening to me and you hear something inside of you that you want and you feel blocked, I'm here to help you. So go and subscribe as an apprentice, and you can work with me one-on-one anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month, depending on your commitment level. So I'm here to help you any way I can, in the ways that I can. So yeah, go to thunderwizard.com and keep going back, because everything's going to start getting, it's going to be a lot more stuff on there. And that will be helpful to all of us. Okay, so let's see. Do we have any questions or anything here? Thundra says hello. Hello, Thundra. I know you've got something you're teaching. Thundra.love is your website, and you're teaching people some stuff. So I haven't talked to you lately, so I don't know if you're still doing that. And John says hello, and Ariel says hello. And Laura Greenlee says thank you. Okay, so no questions. That's it. We do have the askmike.thunderwizard.com. If you want me to make a video about a real question that you have, I mean, I'll answer your video with my video, and we'll put it up on the channel, on the free channel if you want. Go to askmike.thunderwizard.com. Let's see. Thundra says nice things. She's been working with Mahadeva for 7 years now and was the best decision of my life. Highly recommend. 5 stars. I'm assuming that there are only 5 stars. That's my assumption. And she says, yes, I'm still teaching Naga Shakti arts classes. Thunder.love. Very good. All right, that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for showing up. And yeah. Yep. Let's see. Here's a feeling somebody has. Film sample CG. I have a huge problem with discipline and taking action. So that's remember we talked in the beginning about everything you say about yourself is a false construct. So I'm just letting you know. I know that that's your experience. I know that you feel that, but it's a completely invented construct. And every time you say it that way, you're reinforcing it. But I'm here to tell you that you can choose to drop that at any moment. You can choose to say, I have no problem with discipline and I love taking action. You could choose to do that. And you could choose to make that shift. Maybe you might have to learn some techniques to make that happen. As far as I know, you've never worked with me, right? You've never worked with me, so I can guarantee you right off the bat, if you were my apprentice, we would solve that problem. Because everybody that works with me and follows all of my instructions, every single one of them, their life changes. So you say, I have a huge problem with discipline and taking action. Even just going to school is harder. Well, who's saying that you need to go to school? What if you're not supposed to go to school? Why are you going to school? To do what? to get a skill so that you can make money? Are you going to school because you absolutely love what you're studying? I mean, you say even just going to school is harder. I don't know that you're supposed to do that. I don't know how old you are. Are you 12 years old? Are you 30 years old? How do you know you're not supposed to start your own business? How do you know you're not supposed to go and pick up, branches out of the forest and start carving little animals? How do you know? What makes you happy? What gives you joy? That's what you're supposed to do. I don't know that going to school is something you're supposed to do. Maybe there's a reason you don't want to force yourself to go to school. Has that even ended? Who are you trying to please by going to school? Because I can tell you, if there was something I wanted to learn that made me happy, I wouldn't have to discipline myself to do it. I would go and do it. It would be fun. I drove down to the beach the other day with my surfboard and my wetsuit because I wanted to go surfing. Now the conditions just weren't cooperative, and I ended up driving back home and not going. But it wasn't because I didn't have the discipline to get up off my ass and get my surfboard and get my wetsuit and get my thing and drive in the car and go down there and find it. I didn't have a problem gearing myself up for that. I didn't need the discipline to go do that because it's fun. Even just going to school is harder. It sometimes makes me feel like I'm not worth good things in my life, and it frustrates me. No, it doesn't sometimes make you feel like you're not worth good things in your life. That is the base construct response. That is at the base of it. At the base of it is this feeling you have that you tell yourself that you're not worth it. Everything else you do justifies that feeling. Not going to school. Because your inside is going, okay, I have this construct where I have to tell myself that I'm not worth anything. So how can I justify that? How can I have to go to school? Oh, maybe if I just don't go to school. Right? Because good people, like successful people, go to school, right? Oh. Well, and good people, successful people have good things because they go to school. So since I don't deserve that, I just won't go. And then I'll get upset with myself. And then I'll virtue signal to the world how badly I feel for not taking action on the thing I supposedly said I wanted. I mean, you decided you wanted to go to school, right? Nobody put a gun to your head and said you're going to school, or did they? You say you're 21 years old. I don't like my major, but I don't know what else to change. So who says you have to change? Just leave school. Why don't you just quit? You don't want to be there, so just quit. Why don't you go do what you want to do? Listen, I have the equivalent of a PhD. I spent 8 years in college. I have a BA, and then all the other stuff that I did, and having taken tests and talking to people, I have the equivalent of a PhD in all the stuff that I went to school for. I don't regret any of it. Some of it, there were years that I was really wishing something, there was years I didn't want to be there, but I don't regret any of it because I still use it. And I only studied things that were important to me. I didn't care about the end result. I didn't care about what job I was going to get from it. But I then spent years trying to be something. And if I could go back in time, which of course I can, because I'm God, but if I went back in time, I would sit my 21-year-old self and I would say, dude, go surfing. Just spend your life surfing. Go do the spiritual practices, meditate, surf, make music. Those are all the things that I value. If you look on the shorts I have on my channel now, you've got, you know, videos of me playing drums with, in one case, you know, one of my teachers who is one of the most amazing drum masters that's ever existed. He's still alive. That's what I look back on with pride. I don't look back on the 8 years I spent in college getting a PhD degree, because, by the way, none of it turned into a job. None of it. I didn't get a job from any of my education. I've made stuff because of my education, but I never got a job from one. And, you know, if you look on, all you got to do is, you know, look on the shorts and you'll see Gen Z people pulling their hair out because they went to college and got a master's in business, and then they're going and trying to work for these big corporations, and they can only get placed as an intern. They're not getting paid any money. They can't believe it. So guess what? College degrees don't mean squat when it comes to real world companies. Don't give a crap about your degree. They give a crap about what you've done. If you walk in there and let's say you want to be a businessman, God help you. If that's what you want to go work for a company, maybe they'll ask you what school you went to, but if you said, I made this product and I sold X amount of them, you know, that's when you see on the, whatever that show is, that, you know, people go, you guys know what I'm talking about. So go do something, go be something. No wonder you don't want to go to school. I wouldn't want to go to school either if I was you. Who wants to be bored and miserable every day? And again, you've been on my channel a long time and you still haven't got it. Have you even read my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life? I say this out of love, but what the hell are you doing on my channel? After all of these years, you've been on my channel, you still haven't figured out that going to school and trying to be something that other people want you to be so that you can get a job. And what is a job? Let's talk about what a job is. A job is when you become a slave for 8 hours a day. If you're working for 8 hours, literally you are being a slave for 8 hours. And during those 8 hours, you are doing whatever you are being told to make money for somebody else. And in exchange for that, they give you a pittance which you become dependent upon. How many people working an 8-hour job say, yeah, I worked this 8-hour job and now I have enough money to buy my own house and build who says that? Almost nobody. There's only a few jobs. There, you know, in Australia, some people go out and do really crazy stuff working in mines and risking their lives, and after that they have a lot of money and then they can take time off. But the average person who goes and works for a job for some corporation, at best you become addicted to that because it's just enough money to keep you alive so that you can keep coming back and working for somebody else so that they can make money. And people go to college so that they can get degrees so that they can be a paid slave for some other company. I'm going to work in marketing. Well, what are you going to market? Well, I don't know. I haven't got a job in whatever company yet. They don't even know what they're going to sell. They don't even know if they like the product they're supposed to market. This is the mindset. This has to end. This has to end. Of course you're miserable. Go be yourself. And I know that me telling you this is make you feeling, I know you feel even worse. And I'm not trying to make you feel worse, but I know that your first response is to feel worse because you feel that you don't have the strength, that you're so addicted to whatever means of approval you're trying to get as a result of going to school for whatever reason. Now, maybe I'm wrong. All I know from you is that you hate going to school and you don't think you're worthy of it, and you can't even get past that. You can't even get to the point where you're saying, what is it that I want to do? And I watch Mahadeva. I probably haven't, I don't know you, I probably haven't bought any of the products or any of the services. I probably haven't worked with him. I probably don't know any of it, but I watch the channel all the time. Stop me if I'm wrong. And I'm here to tell you, you can do whatever the hell you want. People might not like you for that. Your parents might get mad at you. My alcoholic father, he liked me going to college, but my alcoholic father hated it when I stopped drinking and using drugs at 18. He hated that. And my mother came in and called me a narcissist. My brother came in and said that I was trying to kiss everybody's ass and get their approval. I just wanted to not do drugs and alcohol anymore. I did the right thing and I got my ass handed to me by the people who are supposed to be the most loving and the most supportive. And you're supposed to go to school. So yeah, you're going to have to look your parents in the face and say, I've decided I don't want to go to school. I want to go surf around the world for the rest of my life. And I think maybe I'll, get into making some pottery or something like that. Yeah, your parents are going to fucking hit the ceiling. But it's not your job to please them. That's not what you came here to do. So no wonder you're upset. Anyway, I'm making a bunch of assumptions. I don't know you well enough. Take what is true and throw out the rest. I'm just a talking head. Pyro X question. Good day, Mahadeva. I wonder why some souls. Okay, so that doesn't sound like a question right off the bat. But let's see if it turns into one. I would wonder why some souls in this world choose to have an easy and happy life instead of a hard and unhappy life. Is that a question? So you're asking me, how do some souls in this world choose to have an easy and happy life? That's an assumption. I mean, forgive me, but it tells me everything about you. Can you elaborate on this? Well, when you ask a question, it's always good to come from your feelings and what you want and what you need, instead of talking about other people. But I can tell from that question, I have a pretty good idea that you're not one of those happy people, right? Your experiences is that the opposite of that is that you have a difficult and unhappy life, and that you're wondering, you hear me say that you've chosen this, and you wonder why other people chose easy and happy lives. Why are you asking me? How am I supposed to know why they chose whatever life they chose? The question isn't why they chose to have an easy, happy life, which is your assumption. You don't know that. You're probably looking at them going, I wish I had their life. Their life is so easy. You don't know. I mean, there's a lot of musicians that thought they wanted to be Michael Jackson, but look how his life ended. I wouldn't want to be Michael Jackson. He obviously was a very miserable, unhappy person, and no amount of fame and money and reputation and skill and talent, no amount of that gave him happiness based on how his life ended. So how do you know that? How do you know that those people have an easy and happy life? You don't know that. But the real question is, why is yours so hard and unhappy? Go back and listen to the beginning of the video. You are a quantum essence. There is no anything. You're not anything. You're in a quantum state. So if your characterization of yourself is that your life is hard and painful and difficult, which means you're victimized, and I don't know what happened to you. Maybe on paper you were victimized. I don't know. The question that you want to ask yourself is, look at the list again. You were watching earlier. Go back and what does the list say? List says, make a list of all of your perceived limitations. Make a list of all the things you are not. Ask yourself, what do I gain from this? So there's a meditation for you. If you think your life is hard and painful, what do you gain from that? Bear in mind that in this moment right now, in this very moment, is anybody hurting you? Is there anybody physically beating you? Is there anybody attacking you? Is there anything physically happening to you? Are you having to run away from a grizzly bear? Are you freezing to death? Is a shark biting your foot off? Are you starving? Are you ill? Are you having heart palpitations? Probably, I'm willing to bet at this moment, while you're listening to me, there's literally nothing physically happening to you on a negative note. In fact, I'm willing to bet you have food in the refrigerator, you have a vehicle or some means of transportation, you have a roof over your head, you probably know that you will survive until tomorrow. So under those conditions, there's nothing negative happening to you externally. And yet your definition of yourself is that your life is hard and it is painful. That is not happening in the moment. So what you're talking about is a memory, which is the past. Which means that if you had the ability, you could choose to completely drop all of that. And in this moment go, absolutely everything is possible. I'm going to create my deepest joy. Then it doesn't matter if you had a hard, painful life earlier, because right now you're in joy, if that's your choice. But you say to me, Mahadeva, it's not that easy. I know. You can't, not everybody has the ability to just turn that off and drop it. Why do you think there's such things as meditation? Why do you think I have on my channel all of these practices? Why do you think FIM sample CG, I'm going to use you as an example. You've been on my channel for years, right? You've been on my channel for years. Let's see. You say, I've read Shamanic, Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. I have done Celestial Qigong 90-day challenge and summoning the immortals for a long time. I'm still trying to find what I want to do. None of those practices are going to do it for you. All they do is put you in a different state so you can choose. The bottom line is you are choosing. Every day you are choosing to decide to live a life you hate. That's your choice. Nobody's putting a gun to your head and making you go to school, brother. Nobody. It's your choice. You're doing it every day. But that's the point of these practices. The point of these practices is to give you the strength so that you can feel the power so you can shift. But nobody can make that choice for you. No practice and no person can make that choice for you. It's one of the reasons I'm not going to give away this stuff for free anymore. You're a perfect example. I give it away for free if you don't have that understanding. And when people go, you know what, I want to pay for that, which you did to your credit. You did. You subscribed. You bought the book. But, when you choose to pay for something, it means that you're making a decision towards something. It's symbolic. Anyway, I'm frustrated. I wish I could help you. I wish I had the power to go and touch you on the head and make you go, oh, holy shit. I don't give a shit what my parents think. I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go do this thing now. I don't know what I want. Let me think about it for a while. Oh, you know what makes me happy? I can't make you do that. You're going to have to do the work. You're going to have to do what you need to reprogram yourself. Nobody's going to do that for you. Only you can do that. All I can do is basically tell people the same thing, which is there's this power out here, you can tap into it. Another thing I can tell people till I'm blue in the face, which is it doesn't matter what you're feeling, it matters what you do. So when you say, I can't get up off my ass just to go to school, all you're telling me is that I have a feeling that I'm unwilling to act contrary to. So the feeling gets so overwhelming that you don't want to get up off your ass and go to school. You could choose to get up off your ass and go to school. You have the ability, you're choosing not to. The feeling that is stopping you feels so intense, you don't think you can disobey that feeling. You don't think you can disobey that impulse. And you can. Go watch my video, how I became an extraterrestrial. You see me on the verge of tears. Me, big tough guy, martial artist, blah, 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 and I am shaking, wanting to drop to my knees and cry because there's an unseen being there who's playing with my radio and touching me on the top of the head. And the best I can do is say out loud, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. And I was doing that to tell myself it's just a feeling. I'm just having a feeling. I don't have to act on it, but I thought I was going to die. But it's just a feeling. So what can I do? Literally, I can't think of anything. If I had the ability to give you that awareness, but how long have you been on my channel? You've read the book, you've done the Celestial Qigong, and you still can't bring yourself to act contrary to your feelings and impulses. The only thing that will teach you how to do that is the experience of doing it. And no amount of coming onto my channel and watching and not taking action is going to do it. You've read the book, you obviously haven't taken full action on it, or you're not able to take full action on it. Because that's what I tell you in the book that you say you've read. You've got to know what your joy is. You've got to be willing to die to experience your joy. And then you've got to be willing to act on that joy, even if acting on that means your death. That's the phrase, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. That's what that means. It means you take action, no matter how difficult the feeling is. So why is it that you haven't understood that? That you can say that to my face, that you say you're lazy, or that's not your words, that you have difficulty, what is it you said? You have difficulty following through. I can't find it. Let me look back here. Let me make sure I hear your words. That you have a huge problem with discipline, which is taking action. And you say, and taking action. Just going to school is harder. How is it you still haven't learned that no matter how difficult the emotion is, you take the action? That's what you train yourself to do. The only thing you're required to do is to take the action. You're not required to feel anything. How is it I can't do my job to teach you that? That's very frustrating for me. It saddens me to no end. I can't make you do it. I can't give you the ability. I can talk about it, but I can't make you do it. You have to do it. Anyway, sorry I'm making an example of you, but that's what you were talking about. Let's see, that's Pyro X's question. Fim Sample says, I feel a bit frustrated that I still couldn't find my soul desire. You're only a bit frustrated? So one thing we could do is you could get a little more honest. You're not just a bit frustrated. You're devastated. You're furious. Because if you're just a bit frustrated, then, a bit frustrated is, okay, not being able to follow through is me. I'm in that video where I'm shaking and I can barely stand up and I'm holding back the sobs and I'm saying, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. There's no difference. The only difference is I was aware. You're not even aware of how angry and frightened you are at the idea of taking action. So much so that you don't allow yourself to know what it is that you want. If you make the decision that my goal in this life is to find out what I truly want. My goal is to find out what I truly want or die in the process. You'll be successful. If your goal is, well, if it's convenient, I'll figure out what my soul wants. I mean, as long as I can fit it in my school schedule, and it doesn't piss my parents off, and doesn't get me in trouble with the girl I'm interested in. As long as I can do that, then yeah, I'll find out what my soul wants. or you do what I did. And I said, I literally, as I'm doing now, I told you guys, I mean, if you watched my videos recently, I got an email from my bank saying that I was that I was overdrawn. And after I'd been spending, you know, sometimes sleeping, you know, not my full 8 hours, and spending all of my time uploading and making videos and working with people and giving away stuff all the time. And I realized, and after all that, I still am, I don't have enough money in the bank. I mean, do you have money in the bank, FIM Sample CG? I'm overdrawn and I'm in debt, thousands of dollars. But nothing's going to stop me. Nothing is going to stop me from living the life I've decided to live, even if it kills me. That's the secret. That's it. Looking for the easy way out, looking for something that's not inconvenient. Life doesn't work like that. This third dimension doesn't work like that. But when you make the decision, this is who I am, this is what I truly want, and I will take nothing less than what I want. When you do that, the universe says, yes, sir, and gives you everything that you want. So all that's happened for me is the universe has said, hey man, you are placating these people. They're not going anywhere. You're giving everything away for free in the hopes that maybe if somebody likes a practice, they'll go and subscribe or they'll decide to work with you. It's not working. So since you're not making any money anyway, you know, taking that free stuff away from them isn't going to change the amount of money you're not making. But if you take that free stuff and then charge for it, at least now you've created a scenario where you can start making more money by doing the exact same thing you want, which is to give people these products and these services so that they can better their lives. So I'm willing to face that. And once again in my life, I'm looking at potential homelessness if something doesn't change. But I'm not going to change my strategy. My strategy is to make myself happy, to look at myself in the mirror and love myself and appreciate my life and to have everything that I want. And if I die in the process, I die in the process. What else? Nothing else? Zinc. See, oh, wait, there's other questions here. Johan Reese question, do you believe in any conspiracy theories? Do you? I'm much interested in hearing your conspiracy theories. How does me answering that question help you? Do you want to feel better because I believe in conspiracy theories? So a good idea is to actually spend some time on the channel and actually watch the videos. You'll find out pretty quickly what I believe in and what I don't. Welcome to the channel. He says, I'm aware no life is perfect. Who said that? I didn't say that. I just would like to know why life is so unfair. Who said life was unfair? These are all your things. Go back and watch the video from the beginning. I never said any of those things. I said that you can choose to decide to have everything that you want. See, now you're getting honest. You didn't say that. You covered it up. You weren't being truthful. You said, I want to know why some people have happy lives. You didn't say, I want to know how I can have a happy life. What you want me to do is to tell you why you're so victimized. You're looking for me to help you define and stay victimized. And I'm not going to do that. I don't know what you've been through, but I know you don't know what I've been through. I know you didn't live my life. And I can tell you, I wouldn't wish my childhood, my early adulthood on anybody. Maybe yours was worse. I'm not competing with you. So why is it that I'm saying what I'm saying and you're saying what you're saying? The question to ask yourself is, do you want to be happy? If the answer is yes, then the next question is, what do I do to become happy now? Who gives a crap what your horrible, unfair life was in the past? Who cares? That's the past. This is the present. What you have the opportunity to do is create a future. You won't be able to do that as long as you're looking at the past and talking about how unfair it was. That's all you're going to create. If you want to do what I do, if you want to have what I have, you got to do what I do. So the only thing I know what to do is to offer you the practices that I do. Go subscribe to the 90-day challenge. You don't know how to work past that? Become an apprentice. Work with me on a weekly basis. I guarantee you I will get you out of that victim mindset very quickly, or you will choose to stop working with me. But one of those things will happen. Asking me to co-sign your pain and your misery, that is unnecessary. I'm not going to do that for you. Welcome to the channel. Jedi Black Knight, question, after doing the Maoshan 5 element sets, can the grounding be done standing up? Yes. Leela says she saw my drumming, she liked it. I liked my drumming too, thank you. The Foreskin Vampire says, thank you, you're welcome. That's quite a name. Zinc, question, how do I visit quantum field to change my identity as per step 2? Oh, great question. Well, you can go do the free, I'll leave those up there, the free interdimensional meditation, but you have to go over there, you have to go onto the channel, and you have to click onto the playlist, and you have to go to the interdimensional meditation, and you have to do it. And that means by putting on the headphones and pressing play and letting me guide you through it. I've done live videos. Go actually put some time in to maybe scroll through the most recent videos and find the live guided meditations, and I've done that. So what can you do? A little bit of work. Maybe you're new to the channel, you don't know that. Welcome to the channel. Make use of it. That's how. And I wish you a happy journey. What else? All right. That's it. We're all done. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for the questions. I know that my responses aren't always what people want to hear. So if I've done or said anything that has hurt you or offended you, please know that my intention is only and always to help. I literally would do anything I possibly could to make anybody and everybody happy. And that's my lesson, is that I can't do what you need to do for yourself. I can only give you the tools. And it's up to you to then use the tools, and then, you know, your awareness. You know, that most difficult thing I ever learned is to learn how to take contrary action. It's the most difficult and the most valuable thing. It's, if I had a treasure, the most valuable treasure I have, which I would protect with my life, is the knowledge and the awareness that taking contrary action is the only thing that matters here. To be able to take action regardless of your feelings and your impulses. And until you learn how to do that, the third dimension will be challenging, to say the least. Black Knight has a question before I leave. He says, I noticed a new product in the Thunder Wizard store on the Huar meditation. I'm considering getting it, but wondering if it can be done after the Maoshan sets before I sleep. Oh, absolutely. In fact, if you do the Maoshan sets and do that, you know, we might have to clean you out. We might have to scrape you off the wall. That's how powerful it is. So the short answer is yes. I mean, look, it's what I do. I'm only teaching you what I discovered, and you know, I do all that same stuff. So yes, absolutely. Because the Maoshan 5 element practices create portals to other dimensions. So it makes your job that much easier. Makes it just, so it's like you're already there. So yes. Is that it? Thank you, my friends. I love you all. I mean that with every fiber in my being. I only want every single one of you to achieve your awakening, your deepest bliss, and your happiness. And anything and everything I can do to make that happen, I am doing. And I hope that you take it from there and do your part. Because when you make yourself happy, I'm going to be happier, and so will all the other beings in the universe. Having said that, my friend and my friends, I'm going to say goodbye. And if the solar flash don't come, and or I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, and or I don't shift myself out of this third dimensional reality, all of those three might very well happen very soon. If none of those things happen, you will see me very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves. Remember the 923.thunderwizard.com. I'm getting rid of that any day now, so take advantage of it if you want. That's it. I love you all. I'll see you all very soon. Please be very good to yourselves.